This is a Dreamcast disc and is for use only on a Dreamcast unit. Playing this disc on a hi-fi or other audio equipment can cause serious damage to its speakers.
Dreamcast, up to 6 billion players.
Welcome back to the stage of history.
Why don't we play together?
Hey, it's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go!
Please stop this disc now.
Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Dreamcast Junkyard DreamPod, the ultimate podcast about all things Dreamcast. My name is Rob, and I'll be your host today on what should be one cracking show, featuring information about an exciting new release for the Dreamcast, some dodgy Dreamcast dealing on eBay, an exciting announcement regarding the Junkyard, and of course a rundown of what titles the team have been playing this week. We've got all that and more lined up on today's pod. But before we get to that, let's introduce today's podding team. Firstly, sitting on a throne constructed from abandoned Dreamcast jewel cases, we have the king of the junkyard, Tom. Say hi, Tom.
Wow, what an introduction.
That was an
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Okay, secondly, we've got the Junkyard's resident Sonic expert, Aaron the Gaga Man Foster. Say hi, Aaron.
Fair enough. Hi. Apparently.
Thirdly, we have a man who is on a mission to build the largest Resident Evil video game collection of all time. It's Gaz, a.k.a. Lost Ruin.
Good evening.
Good evening. And rounding out today's awesome panel, we have one of the Junkyard's American staffers, Caleb. Say hi, Caleb.
America.
USA. Okay, cool. Okay, so intros are done, guys. So we're going to move straight on to what we've been playing. So the Choosinator is going to choose Caleb. What have you been playing this week?
Well, I've been just messing around with my Dreamcast. I've been testing out a lot of the old stuff. It's really a pain to test out the old light guns, you know, because they don't work on modern TVs.
Sure.
So basically, I've just been kind of looking through those, seeing, you know, if there's been any damage, because they haven't been stored properly. But yeah, that's about it for the Dreamcast. And I've also been messing around with the...
Sorry, Caleb, just to interrupt. Which kind of light guns have you been using, the third party or the official one?
Dreamcast never really came out. The Mad Catz one was technically the first party one in the United States, because the weird-looking phaser one never got released here.
Yeah, of course.
So there's the big, bulky Starfire ones, which is really cool, and then the little phaser-type Mad Catz ones, which are also good. I mainly use the Mad Catz ones. They seem pretty good.
Cool. Anything non-Dreamcast
Yes, I've been
related?
playing the Don't Starve Together beta. And that would be a really awesome game, as long as you don't try to play in the public servers. Because, man, there are so many trolls, it's not even funny. Don't Starve is like a 2D, it's like a survival game / like kind of like a Minecraft type deal. Basically you're just, this is the beta, which is like you play with a bunch of other people. So basically the goal is supposedly with the different game modes is to like cooperate and stuff. But there's a lot of trolls and there's a lot of people who don't understand like what the different game modes are. So it's not as fun as it could be, but man, it's a really interesting experience.
Okay, sweet. Okay, let's move on. Gaz, what have you been playing?
Right. I actually had my Dreamcast set up and my boy's been playing on it. He's been playing some Nesta DC, which is the NES emulator on there. He's been going through the catalogue and finding some cool stuff to play. I've had a go myself on Mario and Donkey Kong and trying out some new games. Oh, Star Wars. That's a great game on the NES, isn't it? It's fantastic.
Is that the one where Darth Vader turns into a scorpion? Or...
No idea. See, I remember playing it. I remember playing it 20 years ago, and I've just found it on the catalogue. And I thought, oh yeah, I remember playing that. I played it for 5 minutes, and I kept dying. I was like, God, I hate this game now. I never remember being that frustrating. But yeah, that's all I've been playing on the Dreamcast.
Okay.
Other stuff. I won a copy of Project Cars on the Xbox One for doing a fast lap challenge at my local game.
Oh, nice.
So that was kind of cool. It's good, but it's not Forza, because I do like Forza, but obviously we're not going to talk about, go into too much detail. Bit of Destiny, and I think that's just about it, I think.
Okay, cool. Aaron, what have you been playing?
Dreamcast-wise, a couple of weeks ago, I played a bit more Mars Matrix, still trying to grind all that money to buy all the last couple bits. I think I've almost got everything now, except for the stuff that's like $9,999,999,999 or whatever. But yeah, always fun to go through that game. Unlocking all the score attack mode levels is the best way to grind money in that, because you basically have infinite lives in that mode. And you get much more points in that mode as well, so you can just really rack up billions and billions of points each round, pretty much. So, yeah, just went back to that for a little bit. And in terms of other games on other systems, I just picked up a 3D Thunderblade on the 3DS the other day. Obviously, completely different to the Mega Drive game. It's a port of the arcade version. Really difficult game, actually, considering it's actually a lot slower than like Afterburner and Space Harrier, that kind of thing. But I often find yourself crashing into things a lot in that. So yeah, really good port again, like all their other ones were. That's mainly what I've been playing.
Cool. Okay, and Tom?
Yeah, I've been playing on the Dreamcast. A couple of games, actually, that I picked up today, which are Street Fighter Alpha 3 and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. There's a shop near me that trades in games, and I took a load of like old CDI games and 3DO games down and just traded them all in. A lot for them, and picked up, those two.
I was going to ask you when you said about trading them in and getting them for a $5. I was like, how many games did you have to trade in to get them for a $5?
To be honest, I did have quite a few like really like crappy old CDI video CD games that I just kind of didn't want anymore, like Four Weddings and a Funeral and stuff like that. So I just thought, why do I even have these in my collection?
Did you ever Plumbers Don't Wear Ties or something?
No, there's a poster on the video rental place in my town, and it's for the CDI version of RoboCop, but it's like the Italian version, so it's like Il Roboto, Il Corbato, Toto. So it's awesome, and it's like I always wanted that thing.
Wow.
But, I have a CDI too. I haven't. I don't. The only game I have for it that's good is Tetris, and that's about it. Oh, and I have the one lightning game thing that I haven't messed around with it. No, it's the weird.
That was a great game.
Sci-fi one, like yeah.
Oh god, I know the one you mean.
Oh yeah,
It's hysterical.
It's
no.
Yeah,
I think I know the one you mean though. I remember watching someone play that once, but I forget the name of it.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, other non-Dreamcast games I'm playing are... I've been playing Hohokum on the PS Vita, and also the Unfinished Swan, the PSN games that came out last week.
Sure.
Quite like them. They're very sort of avant-garde and a bit arty, but nice. What about you, Rob? Have you been playing anything?
Just not much this week. Tokyo Highway Challenge is literally all I've played on this week. I think that's Tokyo Extreme Racer. The Japanese version is Tokyo Extreme Racer.
That the Genki game.
That's right, yeah. And apart from that, I haven't really played anything else, but I did pick up, unfortunately, after moaning last week that people should take a step back from new collector's editions. Tom basically convinced me to get Stormwind, so I've ordered the special edition of Stormwind. So I haven't got.
Does that come with like a little doll thing or something?
Yeah,
comes with like a little spaceship that was 3D printed.
That's right. Yeah, it comes with a spaceship, like soundtrack, special box game, that sort of stuff.
Am I making this up in my brain? I thought like there was like a little plushie thing for one of those games. I mean, what am I thinking of?
No, you're right, Caleb. You're right. It's the sort of tentacle body
that's the
that
one.
Looks like Cthulhu.
Of course, yeah.
It looks a bit like Cthulhu, but it's like a plush.
I think they sold that
so.
separately. I don't think that was like with the special edition. I think that was just like a separate promo item of some kind.
And it's so interesting that 3D printing and stuff, like people can actually do little items like this and have it be cost effective.
As soon as I got my special edition, and I actually did record like an unboxing video, and then I actually accidentally snapped a little bit off the spaceship when I was doing the unboxing. I was like, whoops. It was only like a teeny weeny little nick on one of the wings, but like just sitting there going, here's the little spaceship.
Yes, well, I hope I don't do that. Anyway, that was pretty.
Pretty expensive. It's quite fragile, so I'd.
I'll take care.
Be gentle with it.
Okay, cool. I think that's it then. Anything else anyone wants to say before we move on?
Yeah, I was one thing. I was really you know how we were all talking about like those gauntlet miniatures. I got really excited because I was like, oh my god, I think I have one of those.
Yeah.
But I looked in my collection. It was just like the Jester from one of the later games. So sadly, it wasn't the incredibly rare, expensive Gauntlet ones for the Dreamcast versions, and when those all came out for everything. So it's just a random newer one. I don't know. It's probably not worth much money.
Might be from like one of the later games they did, like on the GameCube and Xbox and stuff. I don't know. So they must have done that kind of promotion like another time as well. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on, guys. Okay, so moving on, we're going to move on to a piece of news that got announced this week, and that is that the developer Hucast has announced Redux 2. Obviously, this is a pretty big deal on the Dreamcast. So, thoughts, gentlemen, and we're going to start with Aaron.
Bit of a mixed feelings with this, to be honest, because when Redux got announced and put up on Kickstarter, and I funded it and all that, got all like excited. You know, it's the first Dreamcast Kickstarter. It got all really well funded, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, when they were showing it off, it looked really nice and all that kind of stuff. They had all lovely. They even put out like a little PC demo, so you could play it on the player level on the PC and see what it was going to look like. Yeah. And then when it came, something was a bit odd about the graphics. I found, for some reason, it was like really low resolution compared to like Dux and Dux 1.5. For some reason, it didn't quite look as they were advertising it. Basically, I think all the trailers.
But even through like RGB or.
Yeah, even through VGA, it just looked really. It was like half the resolution of like all their other games. You could tell straight away just from the logos how like even like the score at the top was all fuzzy and kind of hard to make out. And yeah, all their trailers like it all looked really nice and smooth. And then I questioned them on it, and they were just like, they came up with some excuse of some kind, and then on that trailer they had on YouTube, they conveniently at the bottom of the description edited in footage from PC version, and that wasn't there before. It was a bit suspicious, and it was like, and then I finally got it out of them sometime later. I was chatting with them on Facebook about it. It was just kind of like, well, this isn't quite what you're advertising, but you know, if you just showed the Dreamcast footage as it actually is on the Dreamcast, that would have been nice. But yeah, they said it was something to do with
LOL.
they said they hired some other team in to do the programming or something, and it was they were basically passing the buck onto some other developer or something.
It's always somebody else's fault, isn't it?
And then they went and made that Redux 1. I don't know what they call it now, 1.1 or whatever. They were doing like a upgrade disc, and basically it was supposed to fix it. But it kind of didn't. I don't really understand. Like, they put out... This was the first time they actually put out footage of the game on the Dreamcast as opposed to using, like, a PC build or... Because I know it's on, like, Steam now as well. And, yeah, it was just a bit weird, especially after playing, like... Because the Kickstarter version came with Dux 1.5 as well, and that looks so much nicer, like, much smoother. I mean, the game played fine, but it was just too similar to Dux. It was almost exactly the same. Like... They put out Dux, then they put out 1.5, and then they put out Redux, which is a remake of Dux, but with different fuzzier graphics. And it's just like they just keep putting out the same game over and over again. And then they announced on the Neo Geo, like another game, which is basically another remake of Dux, but running on the Neo Geo.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. I mean, they had that deal where, like, with Dux 1.5. Anybody who bought the original Dux, like me, they just sent you a free copy of Dux 1.5. So it's
they did the same thing with this new version of Redux as well.
The point is, it seems like they would have learned their lesson by now and just said, well, it's just going to take a little bit longer to make sure that we have the product. Because at this point, it's clear, it should be clear, like, what people want out of it. And so I don't... A third time's the charm? I don't know.
Yeah, and the thing with like Redux as well is it was about 2 years like in development, and when it came, it didn't really seem all that much different. I mean, Dux 1.5 and Redux play miles better than the first one. It's got a lot of just little touches to it that make it so much more easy. Well, not much easier, but just more intuitive and less unfair than the first game was. The first game, a lot of the time you just die and you wouldn't even be able to see what killed you and all this kind of stuff. But they just kind of fixed things up on 1.5 and made it a much better game. And I think the first game also had this weird score glitch if you were playing it specifically on a SCART cable or like via, like, not VGA, you'd get like this weird score glitch as well. But I'm just a little bit mixed on Redux because obviously they put out screenshots and stuff and they're in widescreen, and I'm thinking, well, those probably ain't Dreamcast screenshots.
Sure. Tom, Gaz, what do you think?
I mean, I've seen. Obviously, I've not actually played the game, but I had a look earlier on in the week at some of the gameplay videos of Redux on YouTube, and I thought this looks really. It's like you said before, it looks really fuzzy. So I checked out another video, and it's exactly the same. It just doesn't look polished, does it?
No, I don't know what went wrong, to be honest.
It's like someone's done a pencil drawing and just rubbed their hand all over it and just made it fuzzy. It's really weird the way it looks. And then, but there's no. I've seen, obviously, better shooters and played better shooters, but it just looks rubbish. It's not something I would buy. It's not having played the original Ducks, but...
Yeah, when there's other versions, I mean, if I was going to recommend any of them, 1.5 is by far the best one, because it's got the nice, smooth graphics that the first game's got, but it's got the better gameplay that pretty much Redux has. So, Redux is kind of redundant, which is kind of disappointing when it was kickstarted.
It's like you've taken a step forward with Dux 1.5, and then you've taken 2 steps back with Redux.
Yeah.
It's like, well, every game
they also told me apparently that other game that they announced quite a while back, Ghostblade, they said they're making that one in-house and they haven't got someone else porting it or whatever it was. So, because I think what happens is they built the game for the PC first and then they sort of down-ported it to the Dreamcast in some sort of way, I don't know. Apparently it was something to do with, like, the graphic detail was far more high. There was more detail in Redux than there was in Dux, so they had to drop the resolution down to keep the frame rate up or something. But I don't know.
But then again, if you're outsourcing as well, it's always a gamble, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But apparently they were saying Ghostblade won't have that problem, but I don't know. They've shown so little of Ghostblade, and that was announced years ago.
I was going to say, my take on this is that, I mean, I've never really played, like, Redux, the original one. I played Dux very briefly, and, like, I wrote the original article on the Junkyard main site, but I was kind of coming at it from, like, a bit of a newcomer, and it was, like, great. As far as I'm concerned, it's whatever comes out for the Dreamcast, it's, like, great for the community, and, like, another game that's going to be, like, sort of lengthening the lifespan of the console. But since then, all I've kind of heard, the only sort of the only what's the word, like, sort of feedback that I've had from people has kind of been negative, but mainly aimed at Hucast themselves for the way they conduct themselves, and also how they ban people from their Facebook page for, like, making negative comments, and also, like you said, Aaron, about the fuzzy graphics.
Ban me, actually, because I made a whole article on Sega Bits about it as well, and showed, like, screenshot comparisons and all this kind of stuff. I'm surprised they didn't ban me.
But it just screams of, like, well, when I've dealt with indie developers a lot, and they do want feedback, whether it's negative or positive. I mean, negative feedback is sometimes a lot better than positive feedback, or false positive feedback. They really don't want you to lie to them, because these people are making games in their garage back in, like from back in the day. And
I mean, we can't actually underestimate how big this story actually is, because even, like, Wired magazine carried this story on their website that, you know, there's a new game coming out for the Dreamcast. They're not even looking at the fact that there's other developers making games. It's just the fact that this story is kind of, like, hit the big time, and they're going, oh, look, let's make a story about Dreamcast games. Quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's jump on the bandwagon.
Someone made a new Dreamcast game for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah, it's not actually true.
No. No, yeah. But the thing with, like, these Dreamcast games is we kind of have to be a little critical, because especially when they're coming out on disc and they're charging you, like, £40-50 for, or, like, and then they do all these special editions and they do, like, bundle editions and these big elaborate editions. You want the game to be, you know, as good as it can be, really. So I just hope they've learned from Redux 2.
I was going to say, me and Rob kind of took this on the last episode, where somebody asked the question about why do these indie games that come out get suddenly elevated to, like, sort of godlike statuses, even though the games themselves might be absolute crap. A new game for the Dreamcast is like, It's 80 quid. It's only 80 quid. No, it's,
Yeah. Also, like, the Co-optional podcast, we're going through the new game releases, and that Alice game had come out, and they were saying, like, DC, what does that mean? And, like, none of them had any idea that they're still releasing games for the Dreamcast. So it's obviously, I think a lot of mainstream people just don't know that it's happening.
Well, no, because they are quite a niche thing, I suppose. They are, like, independently released on the internet and, you know, not all over the place.
Okay, cool. I think we've probably talked enough about that now. So let's move on. And well, I'd like to move on to something altogether more positive. We're not going to. Recently, there's been a lot of talk on the Junkyard Facebook group about bootleg games being sold for literally absurd prices on eBay for the Dreamcast. So, what do we all think of this?
Yeah, well, are they being sold, or is it just what people are asking? Because I saw the post. Are these games? I don't think they're actually selling.
Oh, they're not actually. I don't think they're actually selling. It's just that people money.
Obviously
they're just trying
because they've never seen it before. They think it's rare, but it's obviously not. It's just a copy of the game.
It's kind of like those eBay things, because they'll do that. They'll put something up for a super high price and try to get somebody like looking at it. And then they'll either relist it or then they'll add it as give me your best offer to try to lure people in. So even though the prices are like super high, it's not like we can't just say, oh, those prices are super high, that guy's not going to sell any. Well, it's eBay, so yes, using certain things, he will actually sell those games for a pretty high price. And it stinks. That's horrible.
Sorry, just to give people who are listening a bit of background on this, what happened was that somebody on the Facebook group posted a picture of an eBay auction of a guy who was actually selling Dream SNES, which is the emulator disc plus a load of ROMs, for I think it was like £179.99, and advertising it as super rare Dreamcast game. The only one on eBay.
That's the funny thing is, what it is I actually think he's convinced that because they're bootlegs from...
This disc was burnt in 1999, so it's worth $19.99 prices.
Back in like 2000. Yeah. So he... Yeah, exactly. I think he's trying to... he's convinced because they're discs that were burnt back in like 1999... or 2000 or whenever it was when bootlegs started showing up. He seems to think that because of that.
Yeah. I mean, I bought like I said, I've got the Nesta DC, which is the NES, and it's got a shed load of games in it. I bought it off eBay for like £1 or whatever it was years ago. So they are worthless, basically.
Yeah, that one summer I did all of them. I did the Sega Master System one. I did the little bit of a Bucky Genesis. Oh, I'm sorry, Mega Drive. I'm sorry. I did that thing. I'm sorry.
Get it right, Caleb.
Sorry.
Get it right.
Tommy, I know we've had this talk before. It won't happen again. It's the Mega Drive. Thank you, sir.
Carry on. I just think to be honest, I mean, maybe some of it is ignorance, but I think I don't know if this guy knew exactly what he had.
No, I would say, I mean, we all laugh when we hear the prices. And
I think it's partially...
Yeah, the prices are so high.
Partially being a bit sneaky.
Yeah, the prices are just so high, it has to be a scam to try to get somebody to do a buy it now or a lower price thing. And it's like, I mean, it's like...
Well, that's the thing, though.
Yeah,
all you need
is one dude, yeah.
Gullible fool.
You know what I love about those bootlegs when you look at the covers is I still remember this because obviously the bootlegs were all over the place back when the Dreamcast was out in boot sales. But the covers, they've got like the old DC Comics logo to represent Dreamcast in the corner instead of the spiral. I always found that quite hysterical.
The one overarching thing is that in this kind of current climate, when it comes to like retro games of any sort of flavour or denomination, it's the fact that it's old means that it's expensive or it's worth something, and people are just taking taking the mick basically when it comes to stuff like this. You know, people have seen it's basically it's a SNES, it's a game, it's a disc of SNES games that runs on a Dreamcast. It must be super expensive.
That's stupid.
It's like 500 games for your console.
Like, again, this happened again where, like, that stupid Storage Wars episode where they had stuff that was worth significantly. Number one, anybody who doesn't know, that show is completely fake. That show is fake. Anybody who knew anything about storage lockers or whatnot, that show has always been fake. But then they like put a bunch of like rare NES games. So, and it's like it's clear this is fake because you got like a crappy collection of like just normal stuff, and then you just happen to have like a little bag of like stuff that's worth like a lot of money. But then they sell it for like 3 times of what it's actually worth. And it's like they have stadium events, but it's not the US version of stadium events. It's the UK version, which is worth significantly less, and all this other stuff. But anytime that goes on the TV, you get all the freaking, you get all the people who don't know that much about video games who want to invest in it, and they'll go out and say any NES game's worth a ton of money.
Yeah, they go up in their loft and grab the games down and stick them on eBay for hundreds of pounds.
Yeah, it's like, was it in Storage Wars where they...
It's worse. It's worse with garage sales and thrift stores, because people will just go in there and they'll buy like stacks of like Super Mario Brothers, and the stores don't care, because when these things come up, they're like, okay, cool, I'll sell you all that. But it's just like, it stinks for dudes like me. Like, that's the primary way I get retro video games, and I can't get them for a reasonable price anymore.
No, it's gotten ridiculous now. I went to a car boot sale the other week. And it was one of these weird boot sales where they don't let everyone in until a very specific time, and then everyone just runs in like a herd, and you don't know where to look first. So I was just looking around, and I came back to this store that I know always has games, and this guy just had this huge pile of really good Mega Drive games. He was just buying the lot, and it was just like, no. I really hope he's actually going to play them and not just like resell them on eBay, because that's the worst thing now. It's gotten almost impossible to find retro video games at like car boot sales now, because everyone just thinks they're all worth money, so they will just grab them all up and just stick them on
true.
eBay.
I mean, I went to one a few weeks ago, and I was walking around, and there was just this guy. He had a table, and literally on the table, all he had was a boxed NES and like the light gun and a couple of games, and that was all he had. And I said, "Oh, like how much is that?" He goes, "Well, it's £175." That I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's retro gaming. It's retro gaming." That I was like, "Retro gaming? What?"
Yeah. And one other thing I want to say, even worse than the people that don't know anything, that just buy anything that looks retro for a high price, are the frickin' like hipster collectors who will go through and they don't know the value of anything, but they got their little smartphones out, and they'll just go to like the sites that give like the inflated prices for stuff, and then they'll go and they'll buy anything that seems like it might be worth something. And it's just so annoying, because like, I look through stuff, I put down. Yeah, I don't know, and these people, I don't think are selling them on eBay. I think they're just creating these giant collections. But it's a cycle, so I think in about, maybe 5 years, again, we'll have this cycle where all these people who have these giant collections of games will just, like, start just dumping them off in garage sales again.
Hopefully that will be the case.
I really hope this bubble bursts soon, but I'm really not sure if this bubble is going to burst, because there's a big thing going on right now. I mean, you've seen there's that movie, there's that trailer for that movie called Pixels. Yeah. Retro gaming is going to become even more. Oh yeah,
and then there was the other movie where they dug up the Atari landfill and were like selling the games for like a ridiculous price. Yeah. So
yeah. And there's going to be that sort of like documentary film based on that book about Sega competing with Nintendo as well.
I would like to note one thing. Now, I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, Caleb, you shouldn't bring up the whole Sega versus Nintendo thing." All I'm saying is that Sega games generally are reasonably priced. And then it's all the Nintendo stuff that people are paying insane amounts of money for. So I'm just saying, between the two groups, clearly there's,
big time.
There's an issue with the Nintendo paying just paying way too much money for stuff.
On this subject, it's slightly off topic of the Dreamcast, but I thought it was worth talking about. The fact that PT has actually been pulled off PSN. I've seen people selling
Konami
with PT installed for £1,000.
Yeah, we're late to that on
I'm like,
on eBay.
Really?
They pulled all those because you can't sell your account. And guess what else? Now you can't download it again.
Oh, really?
So if you delete it off your account, it's gone. Those are some sour grapes. This is not business. This is a personal issue that they're having with Kojima, and it's sour grapes. And all those people who love Castlevania, all those people who love all the original properties, well, too bad, because Konami's going to be doing, Konami's just going to be doing, phone games from now on, and we're not going to see any of those properties. We're going to see, them give them off to the companies that did games like Silent Hill Downpour, where they just find some random company to make a Silent Hill game. They'll try to find some random company, and so yeah, so it stinks, but that's what it is.
Pachinko.
That's why
Pachinko.
things like Bloodstain are happening now. I guess that's why things like Bloodstained are happening now. You know, Ikarashi, the creator puzzle Symphony of the Night, has now gone off and just gone, oh, sod it, I'll just make my own one. Just change the
Okay,
name.
guys, I think we've talked enough about that now. We need to move on because time is rapidly ticking by. So, next, I thought we would talk about a pretty big announcement for the Junkyard.
Yes,
and
it's not all doom and gloom.
it's not all doom and gloom, no. And yeah, it's a pretty big thing, this, and I'm going to let Tom introduce it.
Okay, so basically what we wanted to announce is that the Dreamcast Junkyard will be, thus far, attending Play Expo Manchester as an exhibitor. We'll have loads of different systems set up. We'll have loads of different Dreamcast games that, not just the main ones like Crazy Taxi and that kind of thing. We'll have maybe some of the lesser known games that people can experience for the first time at the event. And I usually attend myself and Gaz usually attend these events as part of the Retro Collect crew, but Play Manchester, which is one of the biggest gaming events in the country, will be actually attending as the Dreamcast Junkyard. So it's quite big for us. And And
again, people, any listeners to this podcast will get a special discount where they can get their picture taken with Tommy, and it will only cost you 20 quid.
Excellent. But yeah, it's a big deal because Play Manchester along with Play Blackpool are two of the biggest gaming events in the UK. We have things like Eurogamer, but we have nothing sort of on the scale of like E3. So these are kind of like the big events for us in the UK.
Having been a part of Retro Collect for the past 3-4 years, it's a hugely popular event, especially for the retro bods as well. And just having a presence there is a big deal.
It is.
Can they make one of these events nearer down south?
This confuses me. This is the UK, right? Can't you guys just walk anywhere? It's an island. It's just everything's there on one island.
It takes about half an hour to get anywhere.
Yeah, with our trains, it takes a long time to just get a few miles.
I'm not going to mention the coach journey from Southampton to Blackpool again. Play Manchester it generally happens sort of towards the end of the year. It's usually around about October time. As I said here, we have plans to have different consoles from different regions. So we've got Japanese, American, and PAL systems running different games. We're going to have all the peripherals out there. We're going to have the arcade sticks, the guns, the fishing rod.
Yeah,
all this kind of stuff.
Soul Calibur fishing rod. Soul Calibur fishing rods.
Oh yeah,
get some maracas in.
2 fishing rods.
Virtual tennis.
It's just really exciting because
with rackets.
We've come such a long way from being a tiny little blog to being one of the basically the internet's number one destinations for Dreamcast news and reviews and opinions. To actually do our first event as an actual exhibitor is really exciting. It's a big thing.
Well, that's it. It's moving on from being an online presence to being a physical presence in the real world. So, and that's always a step. It's always a good step.
Indeed.
Okay, guys. I think we're pretty much done. So, is there anything else anyone wants to raise right now before we shut this down?
Basically, a couple of weeks ago on the Facebook page and group, I mentioned that we might be giving away some Dreamcast vinyls, some of these special edition Dreamcast collection vinyls. And I made this post, it got retweeted about 1,000 times.
Yes.
And shared about 1 million times. And then it just all went kind of quiet. And basically, I was waiting for Sega to send them to me. Hallelujah, they've sent them, and they now are sat on my table here in my games room, and we have 3 to give away.
Hey.
I can't keep them. I wouldn't keep them.
And you can't
like to keep them. But I can't. Just because I've told Sega that I will give them away. That's why they gave them to us. They are the most exquisite bits of Dreamcast paraphernalia that I currently have in my collection. Yeah. The vinyl itself?
What does the actual vinyl look like?
It's kind of grey.
Is it white?
The same colour as the You know where the controller port is on the Dreamcast? That kind of like weird grey colour? They exclusively looking like PAL Dreamcasts, and they were commissioned by Sega Europe. I think it was for like 10 years since the Dreamcast came out, or
that's
something.
Cool. Yeah, I think it was to coincide with the Dreamcast collection that came out on the Xbox 360. Yeah, they did one for the Mega Drive.
We saw them. We saw a physical copy in Play Blackpool, Tom, didn't we? I showed you.
Yeah, that was the Mega Drive
the
one.
Guy was selling them. Yeah, one was a blue vinyl as well. It looked really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the Mega Drive
these
one.
are.
He was selling it for 100 quid a piece.
Sega commissioned 2,000 of these. That was it, and we have like 3 of them from like the late run, 1700s. They are, and these things go on eBay when they do appear on eBay. Go for hundreds and hundreds of pounds. We've got 3 of them to give away, and we will be doing competitions coming up in the next couple of weeks.
I think they only actually, even though it said Sega Europe, when that Dreamcast collection came out, and they were actually doing it as a pre-order bonus, for some reason, everywhere I looked, they were just saying it was Australia only. I couldn't actually find them in in the UK. Yeah, I couldn't find any UK copies, because I managed to get the Mega Drive one roughly not long after it came out for about £20 on its own. So I got quite lucky with that one. But with the Dreamcast one, I just couldn't find it anywhere over here. Everyone was saying it was like an Australian pre-order bonus, but I couldn't find anything about it.
It could well be rarer than you think.
Yeah. I mean, they only have like 3 tracks on each side, and they're basically tunes from like Sonic Adventure and Space Channel 5. But they are like, these things are the ultimate. I would love to have one in my collection, but I've said that I'll give them away. I could keep one, but I'm not going to do that.
To let them go.
I'm an honest guy. But yeah, we're going to give them away. We're going to make you work for these.
Did I say 3? I meant 2 to give away. 2 to give away. I never said 3. Never said 3. Go back and edit the old posts.
We've got a couple of competitions sort of, in the pipeline, and these are the ultimate when it comes to Dreamcast collecting. Like I say, these really are sort of the pinnacle of Dreamcast items.
Aye.
Yeah.
But we'll have other stuff to give away. I've got some sealed.
Other than that lovely Dreamcast,
I've got some sealed games to donate as prizes.
Yeah, we're gonna have some sort of runners-up prizes as well. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Okay, everyone good? Super. Okay, so that's it for this week. However, make sure to check out the Junkyard at the Dreamcast-Junkyard.co.uk for more Dreamcast-related goodness. You can also check out the Junkyard's Facebook page. That's facebook.com/the Dreamcast Junkyard. You can listen to more DreamPods by going to the Junkyard and clicking on Podcast on the top navigation banner, or you can contact the Junkyard itself via email at admin@the Dreamcast-Junkyard.co.uk. Okay, and there we go. That was episode 4 of the Dreamcast Junkyard DreamPod. There will be more in the future, so stay tuned. Okay, bye!
Keep on dreaming!
Please stop this disc now.